Maybe can we maybe you want to close it now?
Thank you, Tanya and Jonathan, if you can hear me, for your courage in what you have lived through. You can't imagine the suffering you've had. But thank you for sharing this with us. And I think that in your stories, there are many other stories as well similar to yours. And I can only assure you from my part that I will keep them with me. And I think everybody here will, and to try to do our utmost to make sure that this is not forgotten, and that we do our utmost to stop this terrible trafficking, which is not worthy of any country. And that we would hopefully never have to hear those stories again. This trafficking, torture, kidnapping, and ransom will soon stop. So thank you for your courage. I know it must have been extremely difficult for you to come. I hope you will still have the courage to tell the story again and again and again, and that we will do our part here to make sure that it is retold so that people know what is happening, because it's so unimaginable that this happens today in our world. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting us to this seminar for the work that you are doing.
And Cecilia, thank you really for being here. I remember very well. I mean, both of them we listened to a lot in the interviews for the first book, and really what was important in the book of Malone was that she listened, and I thank all of you for being here and doing just that. And I think that is the first thing that needs to happen is for them to tell their story and for us to listen, and that you were here and taking your time out of a very busy schedule is really very much appreciated. We thank you really.
Okay, thank you. I'm asked to keep it very brief, and I will do that certainly. But I want to explain why we have chosen the title of the human trafficking cycle. And I will be very, very brief, because it has already been actually the picture of this trafficking cycle has been drafted by Jonathan and Daniel. Because if you listen to those stories, and if you read the stories that are in the book, then you actually see the desperate situation and also the hopelessness of this situation, and especially in the repetition of the exploitative situation they are in. I am a human rights lawyer working at Tilburg University, specialized in human trafficking. Working for the victimology, International Institute for Victimology, the Intervict. It's important that we listen to those stories. But why have we chosen this human trafficking side? Well, we've seen that almost 90–95% of the victims in Sinai originate from Eritrea. And we've heard just from Jonathan and Daniel that there they have, because of the military regime, the national service, but also the development programs they have to participate in for an indefinite period of time, they relate to this what we call forced labor or modern forms of slavery as a form of exploitation in the context of human trafficking. So that is actually the first step into this whole trafficking chain. Then if they want to leave the country, which they do en masse, if we hear the figures, the 4,000, 5,000 a month, they end up in refugee camps in neighboring countries, where they again run the risk of being abducted, kidnapped, or lured into practices of smuggling, or further on to being at risk of being exploited through the situation of forced bagging this time. And we heard the story from Jonathan Daniel that they are forced to bag for money. This has been adopted in the European directive as one of the forms of exploitation in the context of human trafficking. Well, if they manage to survive the cyanide trafficking, then they end up in Israel, Egypt, or maybe in Europe. And it's not self-evident that then their status will be regularized. Again, they run the risk to have a life, to live a life in the margins of our society as illegals. And we know from many, many reports from many researchers that people who have not a regular status in our Western countries run the risk of again being exploited in several ways, which can be in the context of human trafficking. So that is why we have chosen the title, The Trafficking Cycle. And it is a trafficking chain which is from one place to the other. Well, I feel embarrassed as a human rights lawyer if we read about those practices, if we hear those practices, if we write down those practices. It's a failure of international law, the international community as well as human rights law. And I'm therefore very glad that we have the opportunity today to present our report here in the heart of the European power. And I'm very positive if I hear all the spin-off from our first report that was just outlined earlier by Cecilia Malmstrom. So I'm very positive on the action that is going to be taken also with the release of our second report. Thank you very much.